Bring to us your poetry.
From inspiration sought.
Come join us with your images.
Your verses, words, and thought.
From here we'll share your balladry.
With those who do not know it.
This platform's here for you to show
the world that you're the poet.
Welcome to episode 75 of You're the Poet, the poetry podcast featuring you. I'm host Matt Burgio, and I'm here with co-host Phil Burgio. Phil, welcome.
Anytime, love it here.
Here at You're the Poet, our purpose is to share our love of poetry with the world and invite you to do the same. We want to start by saying thank you to all of our listeners who have made You're the Poet possible. We hope you enjoyed the podcast and the poetry that is shared. If you've written any poetry and you want to share it here, whether you just have an interest in poetry, consider yourself an amateur poet, or are a professional poet with published works, contact us to be a guest on a future episode. This episode of You're the Poet is our Around the Table 5, where we've invited back past guests for a roundtable discussion and a sharing of poetry. To start things off, we're going to do some introductions around the table. So welcome back, everybody, and if you could, just introduce yourself and let us know where you're from and maybe what episode of You're the Poet you were on. So I'll start. I'm Matt Burgio, co-host of You're the Poet. I hail here from Maineville or Loveland, Ohio, Southwest Ohio in the United States, and I've been on every episode of You're the Poet.
I'm Phil Burgio. I've been on every episode. I'm from Maineville, Ohio, and I like it here.
Travis?
I'm from a town in the Shenandoah Valley of Virginia called Elkton, which has 0 elk in it. And it's really pretty here. And I'm from episode 16 and 41 of You're the Poet.
My name is Gabrielle Myers. I'm coming from Northern California, but I grew up in the DC area, and I was on episode 28.
My name is Robin Gittens. I'm coming from Mississauga, Ontario, Canada, and I appeared in the last episode, episode 74. Glad to be here.
Luke Austin Daugherty. I was in 54, I think, and I'm very close to downtown Indianapolis.
I'm Adda Shur. I live in Cincinnati, and I was on episode 69. Happy to be invited to this roundtable.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Again, it's great to have you all back. Looking forward to hearing some more great poetry and giving you guys a chance to interact with each other. So we're here to hear some poetry, so let's get started with that. Gabrielle, you're the poet. Show us what you've got.
I'm going to be reading a poem from my collection that was just released called Go Forth, Lose Yourself into Life. It's published by Finishing Line Press. The poem is called We Enter Spring's Dusk, and that's the first line of the poem. We enter spring's dusk. Star thistles, little knives, dig for our ankles. A plastic greenhouse, once filled with sprouts, a blown balloon collapsed from yesterday's wind, sits crushed beside verdurous grass. Early spring's stillness weighs us into thawing earth, like our consciousness opening and opening on a past memory. Torched pines stand tall, toads and ponds downhill begin their deep-throated songs. You see mayflies, clumsy, with their large wings congest air. Their tired bodies litter our gardens, like pine ash meant to be cleared, like beer cans scattered on your truck's carpet after a dark night trying to curb your mind's cave. I want you to see what I see. Millions of tiny dancers hover from thriving soil, fill the world with life's thrust to move us on and on, fling our golden forms forward in light's final push over a curved horizon.
All right. Thank you.
When you were talking about the mayflies, I don't know if you're familiar with it, but every year near Lake Erie, they come in off the lake. It's a good sign because it means that the water's clean. But they have to use shovels to get them off the sidewalk. That's how bad it is.
Oh, wow. That's really neat. That would be exciting to see, I would think.
Until they get in your ears and your nose and your mouth. But yeah, it's kind of neat. It's a really nice phenomenon.
Gotta wear a mask.
Yeah, I always like your just nature descriptions, all your landscape and just all of your nature descriptions are always seem well thought out, and I really like the way you bring those things to life and to mind. So nice job with that.
Thank you, Phil.
Yeah, I liked how it had imagery that was vivid, but it wasn't all dressed up and hiding behind $5 words or trying to show off your vocabulary. It was just natural and sounds like a person in their element in the flow that is their own style and voice. It was just very authentic. I enjoyed it.
Thanks, Travis.
If I
Thank you for
may,
sharing.
if I may. Hi, Gabrielle. Nice to meet you.
Hi, Robin.
Um, Not because you use the word dark, but it has a subtle darkness to it and very inviting. Like I like your style. It's very inviting to the reader to dig into the recesses of your mind or the character's mind. Um, like I said, the darkness is very intriguing, but yeah, I just love the whole metaphor of the garden and the earth feeling. Very nice.
Thanks, Robin.
All right, any other thoughts there? All right, well, from here we're going to move to Luke and your poem.
I'll read you a shorter one, but a very recent one. Part one is a haiku, and then the second part is just kind of a short free verse. This is called Art as a Verb, and when I'm writing to artists, that includes any creatives, be painters, singer-songwriters, writers, poets, whatever it may be. So we're all included in the artists being spoken to. My fellow artists, if you are going to art, be sure to art hard. Part two, my fellow artists, we are living in the days of monsters. We have a duty bestowed by our gifts and talents to our fellow humans to paint this world how it is, lest we afford cover to the ugly until they have consumed all of the beautiful. Brethren, art honestly.
All right, thank you for sharing. I really love that.
That was powerful.
Love that. Be sure to art hard.
Yeah, that's a good line. Yeah.
Gabrielle.
I love that too, art hard. And then also the lines, we have a duty to paint the world as it is. I find that really powerful
Yeah,
and important.
that part really hit home with me. The part about the duty to paint the world as it is, and how if we don't, we afford cover for the ugly to. I don't remember exactly how you worded it, but we allow the ugly to consume all the beautiful. Paraphrased.
I appreciate that.
That was really powerful.
I was
Powerful stuff.
stoked. Just a few days ago, I was in Fountain Square, which is a neighborhood in Indianapolis. And because it's been 20 years since I published my first books, which were zines that I sold at concerts, I published this. Well, you can't see it right now. Instead of going to traditional publishing first, the most recent is just a locally published bootleg zine that's gotten handed out everywhere. Well, I was sipping some coffee and actually writing poetry the other day, and just this random dude walked up to me and he was like, "Art hard." And
Cool.
I was like, "Yeah, I could use that admonition in the moment." The bread went out on the waters of a zine and came back to me in a coffee shop. So
That's sweet.
Very
Cool.
cool. Very cool.
If I may, nice to meet you, Lou. Remind me of the last line. It was art, honestly?
brethren, art honestly. Yeah.
Art, honestly.
Yeah. The first haiku is art hard, and then
Art,
art
yes, yes.
honestly. Yeah.
So yes, I do. I do, like everyone else, I like the art hard part, but to mimic that with art, honestly, and just the way you are reading it and the way it is spoken, it's like almost like a breath or a sigh, like oh. And when you are just what you are trying to describe with the whole art, imagery or the story itself, it just works. It's very strong.
I appreciate it. And I appreciate the fact that I have been able to this week listen to everyone's episodes in completion. So I'd love to offer like a bunch of encouragement from everything that I heard on your individual episodes. But just know, because of the sake of time, I was digging everything you were putting out there, each and every one of you, and the
Thanks.
hosts, of course.
Very cool. All right, Adda, would you like to go next in sharing a poem?
Oh, all right. Just a second. I've been looking for these poems for a while. These are poems I wrote a long time ago. I knew coming on last minute, so I chose a very short poem. It's a poem I always liked. I'm sharing with you poems that are less deliberately created and more things that sort of pop out, like interesting lines that I didn't even think about, just certain times where I just sit and what's going to come out. And then occasionally I may develop it. So I like this one. I haven't never read it to anybody. This was written in when I was working as a temporary office worker in the Twin Towers in New York City in 1996, newly married. So it has a very silly title. It's called Poetic Attempts Temping in TCG. The red-lined book stood up and shouted, "Can these dead be buried? Where shall we go, you and I, after the mountains fall down in brown smoke? Who prepared that grave? Does it hold the crumbles of my former woes? When you find out, let fall that book, look up, and you will find me smiling and even willing to forget."
All right.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
If you don't mind, friends, I just realized that I wrote this in 1996, and the Twin Towers were destroyed in 2001.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that and say, you said you wrote this in 96, but telling us that you
Yes,
worked in the towers, I was like, man, this sounds very
yes.
prophetic.
Yeah.
Only now do I sense what was coming through me, because I didn't know why I was saying these things.
It's really powerful. I love this line that you begin with. The red line book shout, or the red line book
Stood up,
shouted, stood
stood
up.
up and shouted.
Can these dead be buried? Is that it?
Yeah.
That's wow,
Yep.
really
Yeah,
powerful.
that's
Especially
pretty.
thinking about what happened at the Twin Towers.
I mean, that
Really.
comes from the soul. These are lines that do sometimes flow through, but it's the first time I've read it out loud, and thanks to the grace of this meeting, I suddenly understood this poem. I always found it a strange poem. I didn't know where it came from.
Phil?
Very prophetic, though. It was. If you would
Yeah.
have says he wrote this in 2002, I say, yeah, okay, that's about the Twin Towers. But that much
96.
earlier, it's like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
I dig also that it comes from your work experience, because so many of us poets, creatives, and so forth, I think it's easy to put into our art things that are from when we're not working, doing our working class stuff. But I love the fact that your work or what you're doing at that time crept into your creative process. It wasn't just like you clocked out and now you're a poet. Your day to day found itself in your prose as well.
Thank you. I
Me,
enjoyed that position.
Travis?
Go ahead.
to me, the whole poem just from one line to the next, it all seemed so fully formed and cohesive. Like it seemed like one of those poems that had just always been there, waiting for somebody to reach into some other realm and discover it and bring it out. So you did that very well. It's very well done. Good work.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing.
Sometimes we get that blessing with our poems.
Amen.
Yes, we do.
All right, Phil, would you like to wrap up this segment before we do our intermission?
Sure. Okay, these two, just short haiku and a short poem afterwards, but they're totally related. Over the weekend, I was up in Cleveland at a memorial service for a lady who I considered a sister. We grew up together. She married my brother. Her daughter's my goddaughter. And I wrote the little haiku for her because it really hurt her. She was really all frazzled and everything. First one, a celebration of life. It's the haiku. The family gathers, celebration of life. Memories linger. That's the first one. And talk about memories. Meeting my old cousins I haven't seen in a while. We just bringing up stories and things when we were kids. The other one, the next one is I stayed with my niece in their guest bedroom, and Jiver's like you sleep, you're so sound when you wake up and you're in a strange place. You're wondering like, where am I? Well, I was woke up by the chatter and the laughter of a little girl, and her and her mother were staying with my niece too. It's called Awakening. The laughter of a morning sprite chased away the gloom of night. Her happy chatter made it so to welcome in the morning glow. She was such a little cutie pie, a little sweetheart, about 6 years old. But she's just chattering and all happy and everything. And I'm laying there in bed after, I don't want to say I had a hangover. We were imbibing in the wine the night before. And I'm laying there and I go, where am I? And what is that singing, you know? So that's where that comes from.
Different kind of bird out there, huh?
Yeah.
That was such a warm, delightful poem. It just came from a very good place, and that's not something you always find that often in poetry. There's a lot of poets that exclusively write dark stuff or exclusively write one way or another, but I've heard a few of your poems now, and you have range in the tones and emotional terrains of your poems, and that one was just really warm and
It was
pleasant to engage with and hear.
a little side story to that. Like she was sweeping the floor in the kitchen, and my niece went to give her $1, and she didn't want to take it. She goes, "No, I'm doing this because we're staying here." Blah blah blah, and she was really adamant about it. So I said, "Give it to me." She gave it to me, and I origamied into a little angel, and she accepted the angel. She took
That's cool.
Gabrielle.
I love the contrast that you set up between the two poems, with the beginning one, the celebration of life, and this idea of memories lingering, and there's this like sadness that you capture really well there. But then also too, often at memorials and celebrations of life, there's that contrast of life being so present for us that we can't ignore it. And you capture that with especially the laughter of a morning sprite chased away the dark of night. How like sometimes we're brought full force into life's beauty, even at its darkest moments. You do a really nice job of capturing that through the two poems.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, I also like that last line that memories linger, because we talk about that even though we're getting together often for these sad things at a funeral or the celebration of life, that it gives you a chance to see all those cousins and family members and friends that you don't maybe see all the time. And so you get that reunion aspect of it, and you get that joy, and then you can share those memories. And that concept of memories lingering and carrying on as we share stories of our loved ones, and just as of life in general as we've grown up and things. So I thought that was a good line.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Well, from here, we're going to take a little intermission, as I call it, and do some updates. So for this, we're going to go counterclockwise around the table this time. So Adda, we'll start with you. If there's anything that you want to tell us about what you've been up to since you've been on You're the Poet. I know you're a fairly recent guest, but what do you have going on?
Very well. I was so inspired by my episode 69 with both of you, Matthew and Philip, that and I so enjoyed reading my poetry and sharing it, as I decided to record more of my poetry. And I'll be releasing like 3 different video clips on my website, devoted to vocal training and performance training, called Shur, Shur, Shur Voice, on YouTube. And eventually I will have like a subcategory or a different website just to me speaking about spoken word and expression, and just in like another thing. But so I'm very excited to share some of that, and I am also looking at like a self-public publicizing kind of company that helps you put your stuff together to put out some of these poems that I've shared now publicly in a book form, so that if suddenly I leave this incarnation, all this poetry that I've written all over in my life, that some of it I've actually written out and have on PDFs and stuff, that it'll have a written shape. So this has been a very inspiring experience to be here with all of you, and I'm just so thrilled.
All right,
Congratulations on doing that. That must be exciting to be getting into the process of getting your poetry out there for the world to see.
Yeah, I mean, it might take a
Remember
half a year for me to decide just which, and I have so many. So
Yeah, baby
I
steps.
understand. I wrote for going on 30 years and was 41 before I decided to publish any of my poetry that had been piling up since I was in a preteen, really.
yeah, it's fascinating. Thank you.
Congratulations. And the
Yeah.
Sure voice, the videos on your YouTube sound really exciting as well. I look forward to checking those out.
Me too. Yeah.
Please do. Thank you. There's a variety of different things. Here's me singing. My background is classical voice and also sacred music. So you'll hear a variety of things there.
Very cool. All right, Luke.
Yeah.
Well, I'm always working on the next publication, poetry-wise, writing some new songs. I'm easy to track down on social media. Everything's just Luke Austin Daugherty on all the formats, the relevant formats, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, whatever. And most of my books are on Amazon. Music's a few albums are on, Spotify and whatever. But I definitely think, as the poem that I read, we're in some kind of strenuous times here going on, in the world. And I think it's important to publish, the next thing or the next collection, but I'm trying to do my best to let what I can bring to the world breathe and some of it get out as quickly as possible. So I try to put out a few readings per week, on things as far as reels, some little steering wheel sermons, which are not religious per se, but sermons in the kind of generic form, and teach creative writing at a juvenile hall. Try to encourage the young folks to write what's inside of them to help it get out. As we all, I'm sure, do, we want to let what is in us that we see in the world and that interacts with us in our mind, spirit, inner person, get down onto the page, and then as quickly as possible get it from the page out to hopefully encourage other human beings. So that's kind of what I'm vibing on these days, is trying to get it as quickly out of my mind to the journal and from the journal to the world. So
Very cool.
Bravo.
yeah.
You know that process well.
Yeah.
All right.
And Travis, are you in that part of Virginia? Are you kind of in the Appalachia?
Sort of Appalachia adjacent. It's in the Shenandoah Valley.
Gotcha.
There's Harrisonburg nearby, which is a pretty decent sized town, pretty
Okay.
well developed, and there's
Yeah.
some
That kind of
culture and
dials it
stuff
in
there.
for
But
me
I'm in a
there.
little town called Elkton.
Nice.
I'm in a little town called Elkton, which is more rural and woodsy, and it's beautiful, but it can be isolating sometimes. But pros and cons to wherever you live. So
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
All right, Robin.
Strictly from the writing perspective, well, it's only been last week since I came on for the first time, but I've been getting some feedback from a friend I know that's like reviewing my manuscript for me. Because as I talked about, I'm on my journey towards getting published, and the feedback has been pretty good thus far. I'm trying to, in this course that I'm doing at our university, the University of Toronto, just trying to amass some knowledge or some research to do a particular project for this week. Wrote a couple of poems, had to switch out one from my manuscript for one of them that I am going to read today. A couple of events happened relationship wise that just like brought this up. And yeah, like I find a lot of my stuff, it's different than a lot of my stuff, different style of writing, but the consensus is the same. Like it comes from a deep place. Um, yeah, like that's it. That's it mostly from a writing perspective, not part of my life.
Very cool. And you're on Instagram, right?
I am. Yeah, yeah. And then thank you for asking that. I've checked out Substack for the first time. I'm wrapping my head around that. It is calling upon some digital marketing knowledge. So I'm going to take some time with that. But yes, I'm in on Instagram. And yes, I three of my poems did get published to this Wheel Song Anthology Part 8 from England. It is from Plymouth, England.
Very
So
cool.
that was pretty exciting. Like it happened pretty quickly because I've only been like on social taking it seriously for like 6, 7 weeks now. So it happened pretty quickly. That was very good. Very good motivation.
Congrats. I just put in my order for
Congratulations.
that.
Yeah.
That
Thank
is
you.
exciting. Huge. Congratulations, man.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
So yeah, let's just hope the real thing happens sometime soon as I continue my journey.
Definitely, it will. It will. Just
It's all been real.
We like looking at those books and say like, yeah, they were one of our guests. That was one of our guests. Now we got another one to say that was
Ah,
one of our guests.
Yeah, there's quite a few of that. If you check it out, Robin, if you get a copy, or hopefully you're getting a copy, it helps support
yep,
Save the Children. But
yep.
check it out. There's a lot of our You're the Poet past guests have got some poetry submitted in there. So it's always
Oh,
cool,
cool.
like Phil said, for us to check it out. Like, hey, we know these people, and it kind of makes it neater because we
Yeah.
know a lot of the poets that are in there, including Steve Wheeler, who's the guy that runs. He's like the CEO or whatever of Wheel Song Books. He's been a guest on here. So yeah, great group. If you haven't checked out Wheel Song or even their site, Invisible Poets, I always recommend that to people. That's a good, solid poetry Facebook group that is legit.
I'm a member of that.
I'm in there. I'm in there.
Yeah,
I post there sometimes.
yeah. So that's a great outlet to check out if you're mixing and mingling and even honing your art in the poetry world. There's a lot of good stuff going on there with the Invisible Poets.
So try to put that in your description when you post this.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't heard of that, so I'll check it out.
Yeah, I recommend it.
Yeah, I look forward to checking it out as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna look for it too.
All right, Gabrielle, what have you been up to?
So, I've a book that came out at the beginning of last fall called Points in the Network. It's like a urban environmental poetry that was published through Finishing Line Press, which is based in Kentucky. And then I have a new book called Go Forth, Lose Yourself into Life. I have a little flyer here that you can't see, I guess. So it's called Go Forth, Lose Yourself into Life. That is on pre-order now and will be officially published in August. So I'm really excited about that. I'm trying to promote it. There are poems I wrote from 2022 to 2023. And so a few years have passed since I wrote them, but trying to get them out, as quickly as I can, like Luke. And then I've also created a Substack. It's called International Farm to Fork. And so I write a lot about food artisans, farmers, chefs, restaurants here in the Sacramento region. And I love to travel. It's like one of my favorite things to do whenever I have free time and the money to do it. I try to go to a different country. And I became really curious about writing about the people I'm meeting because food is always on my agenda in any city I land in. And so I created this Substack to try to get those articles out there. And so right now on the web, on the Substack, I have articles about a trip to Portugal that I took in 2023. And I'm hoping to kind of expand those articles out. I'm also on Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, X, LinkedIn, all that good stuff as my name, Gabrielle Myers. Usually you can find me through my picture and my name. It's Myers. And then if you're interested in my books, you can check them out on the Finishing Line Press website or via my website at www.gabriellemyers.com. Last name Myers.
Very cool.
Good
Wow.
stuff. Congratulations.
Impressive. Impressive.
All right, Travis, what have you been up to?
I've been writing regularly like crazy for a while. It was just like a force coming out of me that nothing could stop. Had a good output, like 3 or 4 poems a day sometimes, and now I'm still going at a pretty steady clip. I have enough poems, more than enough poems, really, for my fourth poetry collection. I've got 3 published already, all by Atmosphere Press. But I'm taking my time in actually publishing it. For one thing, I might have to whittle it down to fewer poems because right now it's got like 130, which is significantly longer than most poetry books. But that might be okay. I might just publish it with all 30 of them and make people get a lot of poems for their money if they buy it. I've also contributed to a recent poetry anthology called The Water and Us. All proceeds from that go to the charity Water Aid, which helps people gain access to clean, fresh water in places where they don't currently have it, which is vitally important, obviously. So I'm happy to be part of that. I think I have about 15 poems of mine in that book, and a bunch of other poets from the Facebook poetry group Poetry City are my fellow contributors. It's got about 280 pages or so, so it's a significant book. My fourth book's going to be called What Everyone's After whenever I publish it. I'm taking my time deciding whether to go with Atmosphere again or if I might wait to see if I get a better offer, because my third book, American Entropy, my most recent release, is currently being scouted and represented by a group called Paperweights that helps get more unknown poets and undiscovered poets and emerging poets work in front of literary agents and bigger traditional publishers, and advocates for them to get a traditional contract. So that might be something that's in the offing. They put together a whole query letter that looked nice and was very thorough and informative and did my book justice in its descriptions. And they sent that out to literary agents and different publishers. So I'm waiting to hear what comes from that and keeping my fingers crossed and praying that I get good things from it. So that's exciting.
Good luck
But
with that.
it will be, if it takes too long for them to give me that offer, I'll just publish it through Atmosphere again, because they've never done me wrong yet. They produce very professional, beautiful books, and they make sure that the final manuscript, the final product of your book matches your vision. And they're really good about that. They're very professional and very passionate and talented. So I might go with them again if the other stuff takes too long to happen.
Right. Well, very cool.
So
Yeah,
things have been going good.
I do have a copy of American Entropy, and I enjoyed that. So well done with that. Someday I might own the other books you've put out, but I've got a whole list of books that are on my to-buy list, and trying to gradually work through our You're the Poet guests and picking up their books. So,
well, they're there for you, waiting for you whenever you get time, and
right,
it's their turn.
money's the key.
Yeah, I get it.
But all right,
You're
Phil.
a poet. You should be washing money.
Yeah.
That's why we all got into it, right?
Right, for sure. Phil, what have you been up to?
Just basically the same thing as the last time, writing poetry here and there, being on the podcast, enjoying it. A lot of cooking, doing a lot of cooking. And I enjoy cooking. I enjoy eating and different kind of foods. And I made ossobuco not too long ago. It was kind of hard finding in the veal shank. We have this place called Jungle Jim's. It's this huge, massive food store. All kinds of ethnic foods. They got sections just of different ethnicities. I think the produce section, things like almost an acre. I mean, it's just fantastic. So that's about all I've been doing, and just kind of chilling, enjoying my long retirement.
Very cool. As for me, I've just been trying to keep this podcast going, and in my spare time, as far as like creative projects, I've also started trying to do more of the videos, getting some poetry out there, like Luke and some of you mentioned that, just as another outlet and trying to get the message out there, because a lot of people are on the Instagram and the different things, all these social media things are just the great way to get things out there quick. And so I'm trying to do more of that instead of just the written word or just the podcast. I'm trying to start to put out some videos. I know the poem I'll be sharing today went out in a video. Some of you may have seen it, but yeah. So, and then Phil and I are
fantastic.
still trying to get a book out. I just have to put the final touches and editing on that, and hopefully in the next couple months our book will be out.
Wow,
that's exciting.
Yeah,
very
it's
exciting.
That'll be a poetry book that includes the poetry that Phil and I shared on the first 50 episodes of You're the Poet. So,
oh my gosh,
Wonderful.
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
Looking forward to that. And Phil didn't mention it, but we were also recently part of that Wheel Song and Poetry Anthology 4 that just came out by Wheel Song Books.
8.
Oh wow.
Oh, I'm sorry, 4, 8.
That's cool.
Wheel Song Poetry
It's very
Anthology
exciting.
8. So looking forward to that again, seeing all the other people we know that are a part of that. Oh, go ahead, Travis.
I should just say congratulations. That's really good.
Appreciate
Exciting
it.
stuff coming up.
It is. It's always great to hear what everybody's up to, and everybody's got such exciting things going on. And even if we can't be doing poetry all the time, it's great to see people interact and at least doing it when they can and when time permits. So love keeping track of everybody across the social medias and stuff. So and thank you guys all for continuing to be a part of the You're the Poet family and the You're the Poet community. Let's get back into some poetry. Robin, you're the poet. Show us what you've got.
Okay, just like last time, I'll offer my explanation afterwards. Okay. This one is called Wounds. This wound runs deep. I apply adhesive over a healing gel to soothe the surface of a burrowed pain. This wound runs deep, beyond my skin, akin to a stain weary eyes can't see, yet its presence remains. This wound runs deep. Today, it lies dormant and yields to sleep. Any slight disturbance, it reacts, then retreats. This wound runs deep. Whether a feather or pebble, I feel the waters ripple. Only when my spirit heals will its salted seas settle. This wound runs deep. That's it.
All right. Thank you for sharing.
I love how you play with the repetition there. This wound runs deep, and then you vary it. But that coming back is almost like a meditation for somebody that's going
Incantation.
through pain. Really effective. Thank you.
Right.
Love it.
I agree. And it kind of just builds up this spirit of defiance of the pain of the wound and the hindrance presented by the wound. When you keep the repetition going of this wound runs deep, it makes it hard not to for the listener not to glom onto the fact that though the wound runs deep, you're still standing and you're carrying the weight and the pain of it and kind of spiting it and carrying on and being productive despite it. So that's a thread of resilience I found in it.
You want to explain where that came
Yeah.
from?
So it's just recently, I'd say this is about 2 weeks. I had a little fallout with a mutual friend, like my girlfriend's best friend. And we hadn't spoken for a while. But something that she said, well, it triggered this wound. And I didn't think, like it took a lot of conversations, talking with a friend who was intuitive healer as well. But let's just say I was mad, right? And it's very natural. It's very like if you saw last week's episode, I read one called Anger, right? Be a good boy. Almost similar. But it took me a while to calm down. And then when I calmed down, like my senses came back to me and I realized, my God, this thing is there from so long ago. It hasn't been touched for so long. But something she said, she wasn't rude to me or anything, right? But it's just the way a response was delivered, it rubbed the wound. And only in the last few days, like from nowhere, these words came out. It wasn't polished or anything. It was different than other stuff I usually have in my manuscript. It's for a particular section based on spirituality, but they just came out. And I kept reading it over and over and over. I said, my God, I can't believe it. This exists. It's really here. Yeah, I got some work to do. I did share it. I forgot that I shared it on a few groups and Instagram, but I felt it's short, it's fitting. But as Gabrielle pointed out, the repetition really is to make it feel like an incantation almost. But that's it.
Yeah, I got that feeling, and just that, saying some of that, it reminds me of what we were talking about, in episode 74 with you about how, that words matter and how these words can strike in different ways. And then that incantation with the wound runs deep just had me thinking about how long and persistent these things can be buried inside, and that things can trigger them and pop them up to the surface now and again. So
You may be familiar. There's kind of this old juxtaposition from Albert Camus, where, in kind of an oversimplified paraphrase, he talks about could either commit suicide or have another cup of coffee, you know.
All right.
And I think as writers, we find our deliverance many times in the blank spaces in the next page, you know. And I've been writing a lot this week because yesterday was the 6 year anniversary from when one of my sons passed away.
I'm
And
so
uh, this is my journal that I'm working on currently, and it's like this page. Well, of course, it takes it out. This page on the one side is full, and the next page is blank. Many times, it's the next blank page that saves us. Because that's the ever listening friend or therapist. I've never scribbled anything down on a page and then had it judge me for what I said. I've never opened to the next blank page and had it tell me it was too busy. So, as I'm looking at like my compatriots, my brethren around this Zoom table, I'm sure that we've all been delivered by the next blank page in our journal or the next open Word file, time after time again, and that's the open space that happens in our lives before it goes out to the world, before it ends up in an anthology, before it ends up published, it's always the next blank page that's delivering us from potentially, our doom or, a crash out or feeling imprisoned by our emotions. So, uh, I just appreciate everything that you're all bringing to the world that we share and keep doing it.
It is a very therapeutic thing, poetry.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Of course, you have a poem there. You should call it The Next Blank Page.
Ironically, I already wrote that poem.
Okay,
It's in a
good.
book that's
Very good. Then
I
it's
think
all
that was
right.
in a book called Low Shelf Angels.
Okay,
Yeah,
wonderful.
maybe. Yeah.
Well,
Beautiful.
darn it. I
Thank
was
you.
I was writing it down to steal that one. I already wrote that down.
Well, you can't copyright a title, so you can always steal a title.
There you go. No, great insight though. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Mhm.
All right. Well, I'm gonna share my poem next. Uh, Throwing this a little bit on the lighter side. Again, I mentioned earlier that I shared this across some of the Facebook and Instagram earlier. So if those of you that are on some of our socials may have heard me read this, with this will have one slight edit, but I was reading some poetry during National Poetry Month here, and I've been reading Ryan Morgan's book Elementals. Ryan does wonderful work. If you haven't seen his episodes on here or checked out his stuff, half of what makes his poems amazing is the way he delivers them. So any chance you get to hear Ryan read his poetry, I recommend it. But in reading Elementals, I was noticing that so much of his poetry is about, you know, things up there, whether it's looking up to the sky, celestial things like the planets, the heavens, all those different things that are up. Even in this poem for the anniversary special, if you heard it, and he's talking about the magical mountain out there, and it's the up, up, up as he's always reading. And I was just picturing kind of this musing in my mind that, Ryan must spend a lot of time on his back, pondering life and pondering poetry and the things up above. And so that just sort of inspired me to write this poem. And I had to stop reading and just go hit the notebook and write this poem. So this is called Sky Gazing. He must have a chaise lounge or a hammock in the yard to lay and look aloft as our feathered friends attract his eyes to the furthest heights of treetops, mountain peaks, and billowing clouds. Or maybe a towel thrown on the ground, on the sands by the ocean, with the roaring, indecisive waves whose lunar lungings in and out pull a poet's thoughts from things here to those way up there. Perhaps it's a blanket by a crackling fire, with wispy white smoke that twirls and whirls as it drifts to the stars, drawing up with it dreams of the dark, speckled space. Whatever the means and posture for pondering, these avian guides, tugging tides, and spiraling smoke enticed our poet to set his gaze up, up, up to a celestial world, luring with sight like the Earl King with sound. For it's up there in the sky where man, down here, seeks to understand all that's within. These internal interpretations gathered from above enlighten the intellect and inspire the pen.
Okay.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very visual poem. Yeah.
I like the line about the intellect inspiring the pen. I think that is kind of a trigger for the pen to start moving is when your intellect actually engages. But sometimes your soul or your instincts kind of engage before your intellect, but sometimes it all starts firing on all cylinders at once and you're writing from all those places at once. But I always found that line very relatable.
Thank you.
I really like that line too, and it's almost like you have to look outside of yourself to gain knowledge of yourself as a human being. And I really like that motion in the poem. And then also, it's really calming when you describe all the different ways of reclining and looking up at the stars, like the blanket in front of a fire and so forth. The chase lounge that you begin with, it's really neat. I kind of like imagine myself kind of resting and looking up at the stars. So it was really relaxing to start too.
I'm not going to so much comment on your poem, but I'm going to comment on the fact that we do this a lot of times. So you'll write a poem, I'll write a poem, and it'll be very similar. Like I just wrote one about the stars. Remember that?
Yeah.
I mean, we've done that a lot, you know, the same concept, same idea, not knowing what the other person's writing.
Wow.
Just in tune, sync.
One of my sons, his name's Caleb. He calls that brain radio. And I have multiple stories from across the years with my kids or my dad. But I remember one time we were on a 54-mile bike ride and we were riding down the side of a highway. And I started thinking of a song by the Pogues, an Irish band. At that instant, he started whistling this obscure song. So there's definitely a thing of, uh, people that are close and family and love each other or even friends, how there's some kind of an interesting invisible syncing of the mind and spirit sometimes creatively or musically or in literature, the things that are moving you in some unseen way that were knit together,
Yeah, those moments always kind of give you a little tingle because they remind you that there's more out there, that there are other realms and other worlds, and they seem to want certain things to happen at a certain time, sometimes to multiple people in the same family unit or friend group or the same cluster.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always special and feels magical when things like that happen.
Yeah.
Brings to mind that John Donne poem we shared in episode 74, that For Whom the Bell Tolls, about, no man is an island unto himself, that we're all in this together and connected and whatever. But
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, well, thank you guys for the insight. From here, Travis, we're going to wrap it up with you. You're the poet. Show us what you've got.
All right. This is a poem called Rescue that I've written recently. It's going to end up in my 4th collection when it gets published, probably. It's got a sense of humor to it, and it takes some turns. But it's mostly about wanting to be able to be there to help my friends and feeling frustrated about the times that I've suffered through the inability to be of any use to my friends when they're really struggling with something. One of my friends recently, for example, lost access to his HIV medication that he needs to live because of Trump cutting off funding to the Ryan White Foundation, which he depended on. And he spent weeks in fear that he was going to fade away and lose all his weight and die the way he's always been afraid to since he got that disease, even though it's undetectable in his system when he's on his medicine. Luckily, another organization was able to pull themselves together and bring themselves into being and get themselves functioning in time to take up the funding that Ryan White organization couldn't do anymore. And his access was restored, but now there's other things coming down the road that might put his access to those medicines in jeopardy again. And then I have friends who are just going through a lot of things. One of them struggling with depression and mental illnesses like that. One of them has nowhere to live. And I just somebody I love is suffering through something. It's in my nature to do anything I can to fix it. And sometimes if I'm just in their face trying desperately to fix it or help somehow all the time, it just makes it worse or keeps them reminded of a problem they might have managed to forget for a second if I wasn't harping on it. So it's about how I'm not anyone's rescue or able to save them more or less broadly, but how I can't stop trying anyway, and the ways in which I do try. But I think it has a fun flow to it despite being about some heavy themes. So anyway, here goes. Rescue. Ain't got no magic words, ain't stashed no skeleton key, ain't versed in voodoo, ain't no one's rescue, hear me? I go back before dial up, go back to burning up cassette tapes, go back to playing outside, go on and bet against me, fates. I dirty the bathwater and sit in it till it dirties me. Dirty immaculate decorative living rooms, dirty the victim narrative. I'll dirty your version of truth, Ruth. I grumble as I pick the blacktop out, grumble as blood blooms to shit talk the sting. Grumble because if things ain't right, they ain't right. I'll grumble myself to sleep, Dean. I camp in places of dubious legality. I camp in the brain burrow I drilled. I camp in blizzards till I fall to the freeze. I can camp in your outreaching energetic field. I bob as Bob weaves and lets fly. I step back when Leanne leans in. I get Garrett's ferret in his secret Santa basket. I slide by to make sure you're still kicking, Lynn. I can't tell if any of us are honest. I admit I'm not sure I can say what's okay. I foresee more cataclysms upon us, but every day with you is a good one, Ray. Names beloved, names of buds, of brothers, names of soulmates, sisters, soldiers, seraphim, names of neighbors, night owls, night lovers, nameless the canyon I am without them.
All right, thank you.
I love that final line, the canyon I am without them.
Thank you.
Really powerful. And then also the playing of the words like with rescue, dirty, grumble, camp throughout the piece. It's really nice and it's inviting too. Like the diction that you employ throughout is really like kind of inviting to the audience and like informal in a really like dynamic way. Love it.
Thank you.
You read it just like it in your voice, definitely. But I tried so hard to hold on to it. I dirty the bathwater until the bathwater dirties me.
Mm.
Yeah.
That I was trying so hard to hold on to that. That was really good, that part. And the last part, like rolling using the S's, the alliteration. Not the last part, like where you brought in seraphim. When you rolled off the alliteration with the S's and then brought in seraphim. I don't know if you saw my face, but I was like, damn, that hit me. So yeah, a lot of musicality in these areas. That was cool. That was cool, and definitely in your voice. Now we hear you talk.
I like
Yes.
I like your
Thank you.
delivery.
I like the crescendo, the last paragraph crescendo with the seraphim part, because that became more elevated, more lyrical, and the tone changed from more of a rap rock song into something more elegiac and mystical. I appreciated the way it developed unexpectedly that way.
Thank you.
Yeah, as a few people alluded to, I loved the spoken word aspect of this. I think this poem really fits itself for the spoken word and for the performance aspect of it. So thank you for choosing that to read on here. I think that was a great way to bring it to life. And I liked all the name play you did in there. Thought that was kind of neat.
Yeah, I thought that added some color and verb to it and made it feel like these are real people that I'm talking about. I didn't change the names. I didn't use anyone's names that I was actually talking about in any of it, but it still makes it feel more lived in, I think, to the names.
Indeed.
And keeps it kind of lively and spry despite the heaviness of the actual theme.
Yeah,
Thank you all for your insight.
I appreciated kind of hearing the humility kind of dancing with the frustration come through. It's wild at times, sometime like how you're trying to impact rightly a person who's close to you. And it's like you can publish that poem online and see that someone in Indonesia read it, but you're hoping that what you're doing can transform the person's life right down the street, you know?
Yeah.
And when you
Yeah.
cast those seeds out from you, you just don't know where they're going to bloom, you know? So all you can do
Yeah.
is be faithful to what you have to bring to the world and hope for the best, you know?
I agree.
Well said.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. From here, we're going to wrap up the episode, but stick around because at the end, when we say our goodbyes, we'll go around the table and we'll say bye to each of you individually, and then we'll wrap it up from there. All right, guys, as we wrap things up, we want to let our listeners know that we're grateful that you've taken the time to tune in. We hope you're enjoying the poetry shared here. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the podcast and share it with others. If you would like to support You're the Poet and what we're doing here, there are a couple of ways to help. You can find links on our website to our Buy Me a Coffee patron site, as well as our You're the Poet store, where you can buy You're the Poet merchandise and share your love of poetry with the world. Thank you for your support as we continue to grow. Please check out our website and various social media outlets to keep up to date with You're the Poet. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and our website, you'rethepoet.com. To inquire about the podcast and being a guest or to send us feedback on an episode, send us an email to host@you'rethepoet.com. Until next time, Phil, thanks for joining us.
I enjoyed this. I really do. Nice seeing everybody again.
Travis, thanks for coming back.
Well, of
Gabrielle,
course, it's a pleasure to be here.
yeah, Gabrielle, thanks for coming back and being on.
Thank you. It's been wonderful.
Robin, thank you for coming back so soon.
Thanks for inviting me again. Nice to meet everyone.
It was
Nice
a
to meet
pleasure.
you.
It was a pleasure. Luke, thank you for coming back on and sharing your stuff with us.
You're welcome, and I'll be sure to stalk everyone's Instagram or relevant socials and send you a friend request or what have you.
I'm on Substack and Instagram, just under Travis Hupp. Poetry of Travis Hupp is my Instagram, and then just Travis Hupp is the name of my Substack account.
That's good.
Yeah, Adda, thank you for coming on. It's such a sort of a rush thing. I know you were driving to get here, so thank you for coming on and joining us.
Ada, did
It's
you
my-
record? Did you record from your car, sitting in your car?
Yeah, I'm sitting in my car.
Okay, that's poetry
Thank you.
dedication.
Thank you for having me. It was a real honor and a pleasure to be on this round table. Thank you.
Yeah, we're glad you could join us, and we thank you for everybody. And like Luke alluded to, I hope you guys will interact with each other on the socials, find each other. Part of what we're trying to do here at You're the Poet is build the community. So, thank you, everybody, and until next time, goodbye.